And that they expect that
that's
the money
the
will be used to buy
underline the word
equipment.
expect.
That the money will be used to buy equipment and other things that might be needed. They expect. So that takes us back to that question we asked about how transparent is the financial administration of the Nigerian military.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I believe that there are checks and balances, even in the military, you know. But right now, what I believe, especially with the posture of the present administration on the war against corruption, so I think the federal government owes it a duty to Nigerians to display a high level of transparency and accountability. And we're not even stopping at that. I think, you know, I probably will also seize this opportunity to encourage that the government should not jettison or, you know, sweep under the carpet, especially some of the investigations that concern, you know, the way people have mismanaged, you know, resources, especially in the course of the war against terrorism.
Do you think that there's politics at play here? Because it seems to suggest,
yes,
and people believe, that this is all heading towards 2019. And as you know, the strong states, the oil-rich states, are under the grasp of the PDP, looking at Rivers State, Bayelsa State, Delta State. And the APC states, the argument goes, that don't have that money bag and will easily turn to the ECA to get this fund. And that is why this is happening. What do you think?
Well, if you ask me in my opinion, I will honestly say that the issue of terrorism should not be politicized. It shouldn't be politicized.
Has it been politicized?
Well, from the feelers, from what we're reading. Because if you look at it very closely, you discover that who are in the opposition, I mean, the people opposing, you know, the disbursement of the fund, if you look at it very well, you discover that they're on the other side of the divide.
But does the argument hold true?
Sorry?
Does this argument hold true that it is very likely that because of 2019 and the ruling party doesn't have that money bags state-wise who control the crude oil for the commonwealth of the country, and they will have to fall back on something?
Jimba, conspiracy theory must come to play any day, any time, especially when you have a situation like we have here. But honestly, we must try as much as possible. Let's take a cue from developed nations. When it comes to terrorism, they all rally around, they come together. Unfortunately, the bitter experience of 9/11, where you find interagency, rivalry, and they've since checked themselves. And we don't want such to happen here too.
Okay. Ajuri Nglali in our Abuja studios has a question for you. Ajuri.
Thank you very much, Gimba. Colonel, you know, you've laid out, you know, as a former director in the Army, the question I want to ask you is really about some of the recent events that have taken place. Just yesterday we saw that President Muhammadu Buhari has extended the tenure of the CDS and the service chiefs. Yesterday when we had our conversation with Major General Inenche, he really was kind of adamant about this notion that the $1 billion was necessary not to buy guns, but to really kind of fill the gaps of these massive deficits they faced infrastructure-wide across the services. Do you believe that the extension of the tenure of these service chiefs have anything to do with the potential appropriation of the $1 billion that was just released, given that these are the leaders of the services that have been there to assess the needs on the ground over time?
Gladly, I do not, excuse me, I don't believe that this funds has anything to do with the extension of tenure. What I see with the extension of tenure, in fairness to Mr. President and the Chief of Defense Staff and the service chiefs, is that you know, this gentleman, as a team, they've put in so much. And it's better to have a continuity, especially at this point in time. You know, you saw the way the president, when he came in 2015, he gave them a marching order that they should move to the theater of operation. And these gentlemen, without blinking an eyelid, they did. And most times, especially the Chief of Army Staff, you find this man operating. You know, you even read there was a rumor that he was caught in ambush and he was injured, you know, and all those things. But thank God that wasn't the case. So I believe that to just be fair at this point in time to have a continuity, you know, so that it will not appear as if they've been used and, you know, dumped. And then, of course, like the saying goes, that why change a winning team? Well, at least for now. I think it has nothing, in my own opinion, it has nothing to do with this excess crude funds that's been appropriated at this point in time.